Hey, all, today we are going to continue talking about inequalities. And last time we graphed inequalities. So we put our inequality into Desmos and we copy the graph on the coordinate plane. So this time we are going to be doing the opposite. We're going to be taking the graph from the coordinate plane and writing the inequality. And so we are going to do it in the same form that we did regular linear equations, y equals mx plus b. Remember that m stood for the slope of our line and b was the place where our line crossed the y-axis. And so I'm going to be writing my inequality, and I like to build from the end first. So I start with my intercept and I go to the left. The thing that will be different here is that this equal sign will be some sort of inequality. So our greater than or equals to, less than or equals to, greater than, or less than. So we won't have an equal sign today. So I'm going to start with B. That is the place where my line crosses the y-axis, which is right here, -2. So that's going to be the first thing I write. I'm going to build to the left, so give yourself some space if you're doing it the same way I am. And then there'll be an x. And now we need to figure out what is the slope. Well, the slope we find by finding 2 points. So I have 1 point. There's another one. And I start at my left point and I count up or down first. I'm going to have a fraction. The number up top is going to come from my up or down counting. So to get from my orange to my purple, I have to count down 1. Down is a negative direction, so it's going to be -1. Then I need to count to the right, 4. Right is a positive direction, and so that number is positive. And so my slope of this line is -1/4. Then I need to figure out which inequality to use. Remember that last time when we had a solid line, that meant there was the little equals to bar below the inequality. So this is going to be an or equals to. And then since all my shading is below this line, we are going to do a less than. So less than or equals to. And then we can put our y in there, and this is our inequality. So we could check to see our answer is correct. We could graph this onto Desmos, and we should get the same picture. So anytime I want to write the equation, I'm going to use this y equals mx plus b. I won't write the equal sign because we're going to have some inequality in there that we need to figure out. And I always like to start again on the right. Oh, we have an intercept of -2 again. So that's how we get our plus b. It's not always plus, it's whatever the intercept is. So in this case, it's -2. And then we have our x. Now we need to figure out our slope. So I'm going to go find another point this thing goes through. I'm going to count down 2, that's -2. To the right 3, that's +3. So my fraction is -2/3. We have a dashed line, so we're not going to have the or equals to option. It's just going to either be greater than or less than. And since our shading is below the line, we are going to get a less than symbol. And then we put the y in. And there is our inequality. And this is called slope-intercept form, just like we had when we did a graph of a line. So I'm going to do one more, then I'll have you try one. It's a good idea to start with that y and that mx plus b. Gives you a reminder of what you need to put in here. Here's my b. This time it's -3. I'm going to find any other point. It looks like I have a point right there. I'm going to go up 1. That's positive. Right 1. That's also positive. So my slope is 1/1. 1/1 is just the same as 1. We can write it like this, or we can write it like this, or we could just leave it blank in front of the x because we know when there's nothing there, it means it's 1. You choose whichever you're comfortable with. It's a dashed line, so there's not going to be any or equals to, and our shading is below the line, so it's going to be less than. And there is my inequality. Y is less than x minus 3. So I want you to go ahead and pause, try this one. Use the y mx plus b to help you. Use the examples I just did to help you. If you need to ask for help before you do this on your own, please make sure you ask. Pause the video, try this one, and then press play for the answer. So in this case, my b is a positive 3, so I'm going to do plus 3. I have my x. Find myself another point. I count up 1, that's positive. Right 2, that's also positive. So my slope is positive 1/2. It's a solid line, so I'm going to have that or equals to line. And my shading this time is above the line, so I'm going to have a greater than. So there is my inequality. Remember that if you need help, make sure that you ask for help before you move on to any practice problems on your own. Make sure that you get some help. Ask if you need some clarity, and I'd be glad to help you. I do have a few here that I want you to try. I have 4 of them. I'll pause on these 2 and I'll ask you some questions. Then I'll pause on the next 2 and ask you some questions. As ever, if you need help, ask for help. The best way to get better at this is doing some practice. And so when you're done, you should do some extra practice. Good luck.